Hey there, Bill Hayes here, the host of Occudocs, the podcast. And don't forget to watch Occudocs, the short videos about what people do, because most people don't know what other people do, and they keep wondering what they could, should, and would be. So please join us again for Occudocs, and tell your friends and subscribe and hit that like button. Welcome to Occudocs. Our guest today is Daniel Ayers. His podcast is the Hometown Holler. It is a brilliant form of local journalism. He wears that and many other hats. He's a great teacher. We're going to learn about teaching. We're going to learn about the history of North Carolina. We're going to learn about podcasting. So welcome, Daniel.
Yeah, thanks for having me here at Occudocs.
Pleasure. Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah.
So much to talk about. So Occudocs is about what do you want to be when you grow up, essentially? What could you, should you, would you be? And there's so many things, and we feel like with Occudocs, that's what we're trying to do. Give you a little bit of hindsight, insight, foresight, visually look at what you want to be in your life. And it's so hard to figure out what anybody wants to be, because how do we know, right?
Sure, absolutely.
It's just a tough thing.
I wish we'd had Occudocs when I was coming up. If we did, I would probably be a cowboy right now.
Right?
Cowboy or a weatherman.
I wanted to be a stunt guy in the movie business.
Oh, right on.
I was a pretty good athlete, and I was pretty sturdy, a farm boy. But I really wanted to, I fashioned myself. I was handsome enough to be a stunt guy. At least, they could maim me and beat me up. And my dad once had me break a horse for him and threw me off, and I was banged up a little bit.
So you could really do it.
No, I really, no, I did some, crazy stuff. I could shoot a rifle, ride a horse. No,
I'm excited to be here. I think this is great what you're doing. With my educational background, like working with middle school and high school students, I think it's so important to give people a vision of what is possible, right? Yeah. It's really hard to be something if you don't know what that something is, or what it is like to be that thing.
You sound like our nonprofit we started called See It to Be It.
There you go. You have to see it to be it.
We did. We started a 501c3. We're welcome to help with support of that as well. But See It to Be It is, if you can see it, maybe you can be it. So both Occudocs.
He didn't even pay me for that. I just wove that in organically.
So give me a machine gun, everything you've done in your life, starting now.
Okay. I was born September 6th. No, okay.
Yeah, no, that's good. I like that.
So
what, September what?
September 6th.
So is my son.
Really?
Yeah.
So it's me, your son, and Roger Waters from Pink Floyd.
Oh my gosh! No wonder Gabe is such a character.
There you go.
Jeez.
So the Holy Trinity.
What a date.
Born in Alamance County, grew up in Graham, was homeschooled for 9 years, went to public school for high school, graduated, went to school.
What high school?
Hallbridge School, a charter school in Saxby Hall. Went to school in Roanoke College, Virginia, majored in history.
On a scholarship?
On a scholarship, yep. And when I came home, while I was in college.
What kind of history?
I generally modern American history.
Okay.
So Civil War to the present.
Okay.
Kind of the second half of our nation's history. But I love it all. I love it all. I really do.
Okay.
And while I was in college, I had a radio station. And I need to mention that because that obviously...
What kind of music?
It was called Pass the Biscuits Flower Hour. I was Pass the Biscuits. That was my name, my host.
You didn't
name.
have any trouble with that name? Isn't there a Biscuits Flower Hour?
So it was stolen from a Brother Where Art Thou. Pappy O'Daniel. Who actually was a real life guy. He was the governor of Louisiana back when Huey Long was operating. But yeah, so Oh Brother Where Art Thou, a great movie, one of my favorites. I just stole that and just was I was Pass the Biscuits Flower Hour on WRKE 100.3. That helped me get an appreciation for the production side of podcasting. It helped me get a little bit less afraid of a microphone. I also was and still do music, performing, songwriting, and that's helped me kind of hone some skills as an entertainer and a storyteller. And in college, I was performing a lot. I still perform now, mostly at like nursing homes. I'm not really out and about on the stage. I'm more of just kind of like, let's do a sing along because that's more fun, And so, graduated college, came home, taught school in Saxby Hall back at my high school alma mater for 5 years. And in 2023, there was a big scandal in Alamance County that a lot of folks may have heard of. Toxic mold was found in virtually all of our public schools. We had 36, 38 some public schools, and like the public school system had turned off the AC. My understanding is they turned off the AC over the summer to save money on electricity, because they had so little in funding from the state from the powers that be. Their funding was so small, they turned off the AC to save money for electricity. North Carolina summers, a lot of heat, a lot of humidity. What does mold love? Heat and humidity. So this scandal breaks, this crisis happens, and there's nobody telling the story in Alamance County. The local newspaper is kind of a glorified blog now, and so we saw, Quinn and I, my co-host, saw an opportunity to raise a little bit of hell. And we started the podcast on New Year's Day, 2024, at my kitchen table, thinking it would be something that our neighbors could tune into. And we had thought about, I'd thought about running for office. That was the first idea, was I'll just run for county commissioner, and that will be my how I fight the good fight and all that. But I realized there were so many ways to help that don't involve putting your name on a ballot. There's so many ways to be a force for good that don't involve the conventional route to I've got to be the guy in the room making the decision. No, you can be the person raising Cain, making noise, getting people's attention. And a lot of times you can be more effective that way. You can be more trusted and more credible that way. So that was I never trained to be a podcaster. I mean, not formally. I look back and I'm like, man, I actually was training all the time. As a teacher, I was training.
Who does train to be a podcaster?
But I was training without knowing it as a teacher. I was training without knowing it as a radio host in college. I was training without knowing it as just a student of history. And so when push came to shove and it was time to turn the mic on, record that first episode, become a podcaster, I had all these soft skills that kind of came together, right? All these little tributaries came to form the skill set that you need to be a podcaster. And the most important of all of them is really partnership. I cannot say enough good things about my co-host Quinn, because he's like the yin to my yang. We're mirror images of each other in many ways. And I had never run a small business before, but Quinn had. So when it came to the commercial aspect, and it's if you're a musician, you can be the most talented musician in the world, but if you don't understand contracts and insurance and marketing, you're not going to make it to the Grammys.
So let's spend a couple of minutes talking about Dear Quinn.
Yeah.
The Mighty Quinn.
Yeah, the Mighty. So I'm great that you know the Mighty Quinn.
Of course I know the Mighty
Quinn. Man, because
don't make me sing it.
No. That is his. That's
his moniker.
That is his moniker. I think it might have been his gamer tag on Xbox or something. I mean, the Mighty Quinn. So Quinn Ray, he and I met in 2022. My dad ran for the state legislature for a seat that he was never going to win, and we knew that. And I was his campaign manager, and Quinn was an elected official.
You didn't put that on a list of things you've done. Campaign manager.
That was like a few months of my life.
Well, everything counts, man.
And I
everything
compartmentalized that experience.
I dug swimming pools for a week,
So I did manage a state legislative race for my dad. And Quinn, as an elected official in Elon, on the Elon Town Council, he was at all the events, right? I would run into him, and he's a dude about my age. We got a lot in common in terms of our musical interests, and he likes dirty jokes as much as I do. And it's always nice to go to an event and have somebody you can just run your mouth with. And a lot of times these events would end up with me and Quinn on his back porch and, cracking a beer and just really doing what we do on the podcast. And it got to a point where when the mold thing happened and when we were trying to figure out, okay, how do we solve this problem in our community of getting good information to people and help folks understand the hometown they're living in, right? Quinn really, I kind of have to credit him with being like, man, I bet some folks would like to be on the porch with us and just listen to this, which, is something that, we're a few beers in, and I'm not sure how true that was for that particular conversation, how interesting it was. But that kind of planted the germ of, we do have some interesting conversations. And I'm not saying that we're certainly not the smartest guys in the room, but we could bring in people who are, and we could just, as us being, to be honest, one of the things that I think makes the podcast work is that Quinn and I are trying to learn shit. We're trying to bring in people that we can learn from. And so that's, So Quinn is a buddy of mine. So, and we've been able to really maintain a strong and healthy friendship while building a business, which, as I have learned, is a challenge.
Yeah.
It's like marriage. It's work.
Well, you're competing for time and resources constantly. We're all competing with everybody. As I found out, having a wife and 2 kids and all this, everybody's competing for everybody's time all the time.
Yeah.
And it's hard to find time for yourself. It's a really interesting world we live in like that.
It is.
So back to the task at hand, Occudocs.
Yep.
What kind of advice do you have for young people who are thinking about what they want to do with their lives? That's pretty big.
Just not just in podcasting, but in general.
In general. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think one of them already shared, which is that I think there is a narrative that people, when you exit high school, maybe you go to college, whatever you do, whenever it's time to enter the workforce, pick a career, you have to go out and find your fortune. You have to go somewhere far from home. And for me, that would not have been good advice, because the relationships I had, the people I knew, those were all back home for me. And so it really helped me to go back to a place where I was known and I was accepted and I was valued. And I didn't really have to start from square one. I could come back after 4 years at college and people would go, "Oh, welcome home. Have you thought about this job?" Or so-and-so is looking for this help with this project or something. And so you cut in line that way. You're not submitting as many, you're not just a name on a application or an interview form. This is one, I'm saying this, I'm giving myself advice here because this is advice that it's been given to me and I struggle to take it. But I think it's good advice and one day I will fully accept it. But just don't give a shit. Really don't, I think at a certain point, self-awareness is always important.
Well, let me rephrase that one for you.
Yeah.
Be willing to take chances.
Be willing to take chances.
Don't fear. What you're really talking about is this thing called fear. And fear of failure, fear of different things, not making enough money, fear of the unknown. And it's really what most of us human beings fight at one level, at some way or shape or form during our lives.
Yes, absolutely. And the biggest thing that I struggle with when it comes to fear is I was a good student. I was lucky to be good at school. And that's one of the reasons I think I became a teacher was I was good at that game. Yeah. And I thought, well, I'll just go on the other side of the desk now and keep playing that game. And I love learning. I'm a curious person. But being good at school, you're conditioned to be afraid of getting a B.
Yeah.
Oh my God, what happens if I get a B on this, right? And now with the podcast, especially because I didn't go to school for it. I can find myself talking myself into a place of insecurity of, this is not premier level content. This does not look professional. For whatever reason, whether it's the lighting or I flub that question, whatever it is, I can find a million reasons to not release an interview. What I found through it, and I would imagine it's the same for you. Like at a certain point, the mantra becomes good enough.
But yeah, it's try to get something out there with some content that will be beneficial and keep moving forward. I hear that lesson a lot about podcasters is don't be afraid to just get out there and start it, but also at the same time simultaneously keep building your model.
Right.
Doesn't mean you're not continuing to think about how am I going to improve this.
Yeah, I mean,
but you don't know what you need to improve. And
going back to teaching in the classroom, right? I mean, I remember the very first day I was teaching. I was my first day as being a teacher. I was 21, and I was teaching. I failed. I mean, my first day, I did not do well.
How so?
I was, it's funny because it's kind of like before a musical performance or a game, you kind of run through it in your mind.
Oh, yeah.
And you scripted it out.
Absolutely.
And then the first, the whistle blows and it's all gone.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I hear you.
And so, I mean, I don't know if you call it stage fright or what. I mean, I got through it. But I was standing outside in the parking lot with like that 1,000-yard stare. And one of my fellow teachers walked up and was like, "How'd it go?" And I was like, it's going to be a long time till Christmas break. And he said, "Well, tomorrow, just do something different." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, you can't just do that." Today was a bad day, but like you can tomorrow just do something different and maybe it'll work that time. And if it doesn't, you got the day after that. And podcasting's the same way. And again, like this is advice I'm giving to myself as much as anybody because it's hard for me. I don't know if you experience this doing interviews, but like you'll do the interview and then afterwards you're like, man, there was that one question I really should have asked or phrased differently.
Always.
Or what if could I have gotten the quote I was looking for if I'd approached it from this angle? So there's a fair amount of acceptance one has to just.
I have no acceptance of myself. I'd rather put somebody else in this chair about half my age.
Yeah.
But somebody in the room,
but it can be weird too, because, if you're podcasting, maybe it's just you, maybe it's your friend, but like in this situation, and this is the format that I do it, where like you bring in somebody that you maybe don't know that well, and you've done your research, you've read about them, but you have to form a rapport, a personal connection with somebody that you maybe have only seen on TV.
Yeah.
Or maybe have only read their newsletter. And it has to feel comfortable.
And it's hard in the world of work sometimes to remember to have fun when you're doing contracts or talent or the world that doesn't want to cooperate with you, right? It's hard to have, but you got to remember. And I watch you guys and you seem to have fun.
Yeah, I think we gamify it. I think that's another thing that's really important professionally in whatever you do, is to kind of turn it into a game of some kind, because it is all a game. And I say it like, I mean, I'm not a Buddhist. I did just see the Buddhist monks come through, and I listened to them give their lunchtime lecture when they were walking through Liberty, North Carolina, and that was really interesting. But like, I do believe in kind of the idea that this is all transient, right? I mean, and this is all. It's important to remember that this is a ride, and you got to enjoy the ride. And
the journey,
exactly, and
not the destination.
Because there will never be a point, right, when I feel as if I have arrived at anything. As in terms of podcasting, I don't ever see a time when I'm like, well, I did it. I'm the podcaster that I always wanted to be.
You?
I just turned 30.
Okay.
Well, I just turned 30. I'm about 30.
I started doing this kind of stuff when I was about 33, but I still.
And you fell in love with the process.
Yeah, but I don't think I've arrived. I mean, 37 years later, I still don't think I've arrived.
Right, and I think that speaks to the importance of falling in love with the process of doing it and gamifying it, and because if you embark upon this with this idea of by 40, this is the finish line I will have crossed, like that's a recipe for burnout.
Yeah, it's, again, with Occudocs, what we're trying to do is help people find their way in terms of what they meaning in their work. And that's for me, I just feel like I've been so fortunate to be able to do what I dreamed of doing.
Another thing I want to mention, something, I don't know what you said that just triggered this, but in talking about advice I would give to somebody who wants to enter podcasting or media production, I think it's really helpful to have, it's going to sound kind of vague, but I'll zoom in on this. I think having a really specific niche, right? So when we were first starting out with podcasting, the advice was, you guys should talk about national issues. There's a bigger audience for that, right? You can reach a bigger audience. I mean, if you're talking about Alamance County or North Carolina, that's a small group of people, relatively speaking. Speak to national issues. You'll get a bigger audience. You'll be more successful. I don't think that's true. There are so many players in that space telling those stories. I think it's important, for example, if you want to start a podcast on fitness, do a podcast on leg day.
Being an older guy, I tell you what, there's all these kind of things about basically anybody my age, the 5 exercises you've got to do. They pop up all the time.
Right.
But you're right. If you're just specific.
Pick one of those, right? And become the expert in that one thing, right? Or instead of a sports podcast or even college sports podcast, no, pick a high school team near you, follow them like with a microscope, and just make that become the subject matter expert in that. And you become distinctive. You stand out because there's nobody else doing it.
What about advice for somebody who wants to be a teacher?
Well, I mean, that's easy. I think teaching is learning. So just be a student and you'll be a teacher, right? And like get so amped up. It's. I think what makes, and I'm not trying to sniff my own roses here, but what draws me to teaching and what I think makes me effective as a teacher is I'm so blown away by the stuff that I'm constantly learning. I have to share it with somebody, and I'm lucky that I get to share it with students who, again, can't leave the classroom. They're a captive audience, so they have to sit there and absorb it.
I love that. Yeah. We got to encourage people to be teachers.
Well, that's the other thing. I mean, you get what you pay for, right? So I think we got to pay our teachers more.
We do. But the motivation to be a teacher, I coach for free. And, it's the most rewarding thing I may do. Is taking 9 and 11-year-olds and trying to help them learn how to play baseball.
And I think we maybe should do a better job of framing the pay our teachers better, not just because it's the right thing to do, but like teachers educate people. Educated neighbors are better neighbors. And selfishly, like I want a neighbor who knows things. Well, that's better for my community.
We want our children to grow up and be successful and secure, right? Well, for me, I always equated education with security and success. I wonder if that's still the case for people sometimes, because the cost of education and the debt loads, and there's been so much negative publicity about all that. But we're going to interview Derek Wittenberg this afternoon, another guest on Occudocs, and he's all about scholarship and how it made a difference in his life, and how important that education is. But you can't deny that there are great advantages to being educated.
100%. Yeah, I mean it is the in terms of whether it's earnings or just longevity in life, it's the common denominator, right? What makes you live longer? What makes you earn more? What makes you happier? It's knowledge.
The thing I found was also, to add to that, was friends. When you were a certain type of person and you seek out yourself and you find other people that are like you, there's a great comfort in that and strength in that to move forward. And when you go to a certain university or college, you'll find friends that are like you, and you build that other community for yourself. I think that's underestimated, the value of the friends that you make.
For sure. I mean, that I think more than anything is one of the reason to go to college, right? And you do get a great formal education, but you're also thrown into this environment where everybody's kind of on their side quest, on their mission. For example, if you want to record that album, if you want to record that EP, well, you're going to meet people who aren't musicians but are sound production gurus or nerds, and they can record you. And you're going to meet people who are graphic design majors who can make you that album cover. So it is a great place to network and pool together resources.
And if you're kids like us from small towns in North Carolina, the things that we don't know yet.
Yeah.
My gosh.
For sure. My freshman year roommate was from Gaza. And that was, sharing a room with somebody who spent the first 18 years of their life in the Gaza Strip. Like, that was an incredible experience.
What's your day-to-day like?
So I try to be a creature of habit to the extent that that's possible. And building a business, that's not always possible. I mean, it's you are building something from the ground up. You're the one creating those systems, those workflows. I try to, this is the hard part, I do so much content for social media that I spend way more time on social media than is healthy and is justifiable. So one of the things I'm trying to do all the time, every single day, is stay off my phone. It's really hard to do. I've had to get really creative of ways to limit that.
You've got to, somehow or another carve out time for yourself, and because it's healthy.
Yeah.
It gives you that space between your ears.
Right. I need that mental real estate. And so on any given day, I'll be either reading the news, there's a wonderful website called NCpedia that the governor of North Carolina has created.
We studied that when we put together.
NCpedia is incredible. Shout out to Kevin Cherry, former state historian in here in North Carolina, who kind of spearheaded that project. It is an encyclopedia of everything North Carolina.
Oh, no, it's fantastic.
And so it's free, right? So I get to read that. I get to study it. I get to use that as a resource when I'm scripting, which is the other thing I'm doing a lot. I'll tell folks, everybody listens to a podcast now. Listen to your favorite podcast, and if it's from the New York Times, for instance, or the Washington Post or NPR, listen to the end of the podcast and hear the credits, and you'll hear all the jobs: the production manager, the researcher, the fact checker, the scripter, the graphic designer, the funder, right? I mean, you'll hear 15 or 20 jobs, and those are the jobs I'm doing on any given day. In any order, right? I will do all of those things. I edit all the episodes. We do the sound, the video, I script, I have to find the visual assets if we're doing a YouTube video that's kind of a standalone explainer. I'm also responding to emails, reaching out to guests to schedule them to come on the show, trying to get money. I mean, that's the worst part. I hate asking for money. I'm just like...
Now, have you set up a GoFundMe thing?
We got a Patreon.
And then you've got... What was their number one sponsor? I see they've got a funding operation too. Who's the people that are in front of you for your big sponsor? I wrote it down.
Carolina Forward?
Is it? No, it's something else. What's the other one? North Carolina Democracy Now.
Oh, Down Home NC.
That's it.
Yeah, so we do have sponsors, right? They had, I think December was their month of sponsorship. We kind of have because our podcast comes out every Monday.
Well, they were a good sponsor.
They're a great sponsor. They sponsored us in December for our December run of shows, and so that's another thing that I do is reaching out to businesses and saying, help. We'd love to help you get the word out. We've got this platform. We reach millions of people every month on various, through YouTube, through TikTok, so Instagram, and so we'd love to help spread your customer base. Become a sponsor of the Hometown Holler.
Well, out of all those platforms, what do you think is the most effective for you?
Well, they're all different, effective in different ways, right? So YouTube is great for super fans, people who want to watch the whole thing, get the full content experience. YouTube is incredibly important for the diehards. I think to Instagram is great for just getting expanding reach. It's tough to get people to start with a 50-minute interview.
Yeah.
But everybody has time for a 45-second reel or a 90-second reel. So, I think all the platforms are different for different audiences. Younger people and women skew more towards Instagram. We do have a majority male following there, which is interesting. We're kind of unique. I shouldn't say unique, but we're unusual in that most of our followers on Instagram are male. That's not the case for most Instagram accounts. Facebook skews a little more mature. We 50 and up. So I think you can't afford to not be in all these places.
Interesting. Good advice. Good advice. Where do you see your future going?
So going forward, we started this as a hobby, and now we see the value in it as something that can stand the test of time. We want the Hometown Holler to be here for the long haul, and we want it to be something that is not just associated with North Carolina civics, but also North Carolina culture, and is something that is tied into just state pride, being proud of this state, wanting the state to live up to its founding values. So going forward, we're working to expand content to, beyond the podcast, beyond our social media content, to also include explainer videos, oral history interviews, to give people a place to just, again, understand where we've come from as a state, where we are as a state, and how we get to where we want to be as a state. So that's the long-term goal.
I'm with you, buddy. Fantastic interview today. Daniel Ayers, thank you so much for being here at Occudocs. It's just, I can't thank you enough. It was just, I'm so proud of what you're doing.
Thank you.
Very supportive. I hope you continue on with it. Thank you so much. And we hope you come back and see us again.
Would love to. Be my honor. Thank you,
buddy.
Yep, thanks.
Bet.